Today we're going to discuss Chapter 1, which is Analyze the Audience. The best presenters think strategically, and they know it's not about them, but it's about their audience. A presenter without a game plan is like an archer who closes his eyes right before he shoots. Chapter 1 will give you the framework to help a presenter analyze their audiences based on 4 simple questions. 1. Who is your audience? 2. What does your audience know and expect? 3. What does your audience feel? And 4. What will persuade your audience? We're going to start with the primary audience. The primary audience are the members that are in your talk. And with your primary audience, you want to collect group data and look beyond categories. When your audience is unknown, you want to act like a detective and dig up as much information as you can prior to your presentation. When your audience is familiar, you do not want to get too comfortable and just assume. Instead, you want to take a deeper look into your assumptions and analyze, prepare, and find ways to discover your audience's opinions and preferences. And of course, you don't want to forget about your secondary audience. Those are the members that are not in your talk, but your presentation will somehow affect them or it will get to them. There are some important questions you want to ask yourself before your presentation. For example, who else might hear or see this message? And also, who else might be interested or affected by my talk? Also, you want to expand your reach. Your presentation can have a domino effect if your audience shares your ideas to other people. And also, you don't want to forget that if you want to give a confidential presentation, you want to make sure you trust everyone and know your audience.
Which brings us to our next point, which is what do they know and expect when talking to your audience. For example, you want to consider what your audience knows before you do give a presentation. So you might find out that you might be talking to a mixed background whenever you talk to your audience. For example, you be speaking to an expert on the subject you're speaking about or a novice on that subject. So you might want to clarify a little before you do start your presentation. And then you have second language issues as well. For example, fast-paced talking. Try to avoid confusing people whenever you're doing a presentation, so try not to give out any lingo that people don't know, or if you want to explain it before the presentation, as well as check your humor. So, try not to be so funny whenever you're at the presentation so much. And then the next subtopic is think about your credibility. So before you do give out like a subject on a presentation for a subject or product, you can make a list of what people think about you, what you think people think about you, so whenever you give your presentation, you know how to rebuttal to their appeals. The next one is, the subtopic is check their expectations. So you want to format your expectations of what they're going to think of you on the presentation, which can help you with timing, visual aids, also formality. So also if you want to dress nice for the presentation, that will definitely help you out. And culture challenges is the last one, which ties into AIM, which is audience, intent, and message. It ties along with the culture. For example, whenever you give out a presentation, there's a different culture that you give the presentation to might not respond to the way that you might think it might respond. So definitely you might want to think about that before you give out your presentation. So the next topic is what do they feel? So you can empathize with their emotions and interests. Whenever you try to appeal to them, you can gauge their emotions so you can connect with your audience through emotion, which will allow you to become more relatable to them. And as well, after you do connect with their emotion, you can assess their interest, but now that have their interest on you whenever you are giving a presentation, they'll pay attention more to you. And then you can determine their probable bias by evaluating your request. So before you do give out your presentation, you can request someone attending their presentation that what's going to be on the subject before you do give it out. That way they'll have a heads up of what's going on in your presentation. And then you can analyze their bias. So it's a different way to go to your main points. You can start off strong by just going ahead and give out your conclusion and let them think about what your presentation was. Or you can build up to the main point. That way you can keep their interest a little bit long until you reveal your main point. next topic is what will persuade them. So there's various appeals that you can try to appeal to your audience. One of them is data-driven appeals. You can be prepared with some stats, charts, graphs. That way, people like to see graphs and stuff on their presentations. And as well, benchmarking efforts. It's an effective way to compare presentations. It's just like a company whenever they benchmark their employees, they can compare themselves in previous years. You can benchmark your own presentations and you can compare them to the old ones that you've had. Also, you have consistency reminders, which you can constantly remind people in your audience about your main point. That way, you'll try to make them agree a little bit more with you. And then request adjustments, which are different ways to get people to agree with you. So there's different messages there's different ways that you can get different messages throughout your presentation. And lastly is emotional appeals, which you can emotionally appeal to your audience with, stories and illustrating examples with them as well. And use bright spots to try to connect with your audience a lot better as well.
So continuing with what will persuade your audience, credibility, which is defined by Aristotle as encompassing a speaker's competence and character and is generally based on the audience's perception of you. So when considering competence, authority, expertise, association with experts, symbols of confidence, and delivery skills are all key. When considering character, similarity or common ground, good news, attractiveness, and goodwill are all key. When identifying the audience's important roles, needs, and preferences, it's important to look for the decision makers in the audience who have direct power, the opinion leaders who shape views directly, and the gatekeepers who control the flow of information to help you to persuade your audience. Another key tool used when trying to persuade your audience is trying to turn a feature into a benefit. So we must ask, what's in it for me? In order to answer this question, you must follow 3 steps. You must first identify the feature, then apply a decision maker filter, and last, create a benefit statement. Following these 3 steps will help with answering the question, what's in it for me, and will also help to persuade your audience. So to summarize, when approaching your presentation strategy and trying to analyze your audience, it's important to answer these 4 questions. Who is your audience? You must start with the primary audience and remember the secondary audience. What does the audience know and expect? You must consider what they know and check their expectations. What does the audience feel? You must empathize with their emotions and interests and determine their probable bias. And last, what will persuade the audience? You must assess various appeals, build support with benefit statements, consider your credibility, and determine how to reach the decision makers. And that's our presentation for chapter 1. Do you guys have any questions? No? Is everybody ready to take the quiz? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question for the quiz.
Oh, wait. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and read the questions. And then, guys, they brought copies of the quiz. I'll pass them out. But if you'll just read them, that would help. And then I'll turn the tape off. Go ahead.
So the first question is, what does the acronym AIM stand for? Question number 2 is a multiple choice. What 4 questions should you consider when analyzing an audience? A, who are they? B, what do they know and expect? C, what do they feel? D, what will persuade them? And E, all of the above. Question 3, what is